Ndiredi ukundiza niphuya Ndinawabala ukundiza niphuya.
Welcome back to One on One with Amakhosikazi Media. My name is Bebe. Welcome to this program that we bring to you regularly to showcase to you women of great exploits in our community, in our country, and who are doing things that are touching even the globe. Today, I am honored to have amongst us someone that I have watched growing up, someone I've read about, and someone that I've finally met in recent days, and felt that it would be nice and prudent for all of you to get to meet her and for us together to get to know her. Ngikhuluma ngomama Thandiwe Nkomo-Ibrahim. Welcome, Mama.
I welcome you. Lapha emzini ka Joshua Nkomo lo Mafuyana. That is their home where they lived at. Ewugcineni kwempilo zabo. I welcome you to the Joshua Nkomo Museum, which is we are right in the museum, as you can see. You are welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a beautiful place. And I was going to ask Uti, was this as much home for you as it was for them? Because I remember reading somewhere you saying Utu Mama Fuyana when she had to move from Pelandaba. Wakhala kakhulu esikusela insuse ebantwini esihlobeni zami banganeni bami limbisa ngapho kungela abantu. How did you as the children feel about being brought here eMajamhlope?
Well, we're not really brought here Majamhlope. By the time they to come to Majamhlope, we were already grown people. We had already gone to school, married, and having our own lives. The home that we know, that we grew up in, primarily was Pelandaba, even though we had lived elsewhere in the world and in the country, because of the movements that the family had to do. And there was where he couldn't really be permanent in one place. He had to keep moving the family and trying to protect us and as well as himself. So Imajamhlope was really not a place where we grew up. In fact, in Dabale, this place was acquired by myself and my former husband, John Lovu, during the beginning of the Kukuraunde era, when the Zapu lost its properties and my father was targeted and people were shot at Pelandaba. And there was a time when he was being hunted after he was being shot. So we decided that we need to look for another place where they wouldn't know exactly where to find him. And we found this place. It was really a rundown old farmhouse, but it had a lot of land around it, but no one knew about it. After we acquired this place, we moved him here for a few days. This is where he planned his escape out of the country through Botswana when he went to England on exile, when he wrote his story of his life. So this was never a family home. And after that, when he came back, he returned to Pelandaba. My mother, they didn't move here. We really bought it mostly as a place of refuge. And he returned to Pelandaba, and he let a friend of his, Ubabu Kutuza, and his family live here for many years until the time when we felt Pelandaba was no longer suitable because of the crowding there and the noise with shebeens and everybody. When we said, but we've got that other place. It was never their wish to leave Pelandaba, because Ubaba always said, and my mother was also a very down-to-earth. She liked to live that home-style village life. In fact, if it was according to her wishes, Uvelalba wahlala emakhaya, embembeswana kumbe emaphisa. But Ubaba was saying, no, I think the kids need to be in a place where they can freely go to school and so forth. So finally they accepted that she would come here. But she didn't want to leave Pelandaba because that was their marital home. Yeah, that home they bought while he was still working at railways. So it was very important to them, especially to my mother. You know, it says, this is our home, this is where we started everything. When they bought that house, it was like just a 3-room house. Finally, it was only after I came back, actually, from Konakutsingwa, that they tore down that structure and put a bigger house on that property. So it was not her wish to move, because you know, I want to be in touch with the people, because as you know, abantu bayavuka ekuseni hamba bevakatshelana ke mafuyana livuke njani livuka njani ngapha abuya makhelwana senginatitiye. She missed that. So when we put her there, says, what is this even in town? I can't even see or hear people. She was miserable until she started really looking at her life, and it was more best at the farm, at Tula farm.
And looking back at your life at Pelandaba as children, how was it growing up there?
Our life was never really a nice life. It was a very miserable life, because we never knew our father, and our mother it was always like that life of as if you are preparing for war. Because when Baba and Mama bechata, they were already much older. You know, Baba, because he was one of the first 10 graduates of Zimbabwe, and he was much older when he finally met Mama. When he met my mother, it was a very interesting meeting. My grandfather, Unyongolo, he had remarried my father's mother, Thandiwe, who had passed away, the one who has Joshua, and there were 5 of them. And then he remarried Umafuyana, the older Mafuyana, my mother's sister, the one that comes after my mother, she comes after her. So, and she had already a child, a boy child called Patrick. She was much, much younger. I think your grandfather must have been in the 70s. But she married him, and they had 3 children. Wow. Yes, Regina, Nkwezi, and Margaret. So, and then now my mother moved there. So, my father was still in South Africa at that time. When he came, my mother came to visit the sister. And my father said, this is not a mamumncane. It looks like
someone I can hear.
Yeah. So, it just, of course, the elders were really very much opposed. No, Joshua, you can't do that. This is a close relation. Taboo. It had even to go to the church, for the church, the Roman Catholics, to say, no, there's no blood relationship here. You know, it's okay. By that time, my mother actually, her whole, ambition in life was to be a nun. You know, their country was the staunch Roman Catholic. And she was working at the convent here in Bulawayo. Yeah, so my father, when he went back to South Africa, comes and he would visit her there. And she would say, you can see where I am at this holy place. And you know, you cannot try to be doing this. So, but finally, I mean, Joshua was a good-looking guy.
Only Baba Nkomo could convince a nun to leave her calling to marry him.
Yeah, so he was quite a good-looking guy. And Mafuyana was also,
pretty woman.
They were well
meshed.
So finally, they got to go ahead. But then when they tried to go for Lobola, the Fuyanas, the Mtolomba, and my grandfather, Mambambo, is the mother. Pure Ngunis, proud, from royal background, you know, Omakweko, Omapisa, they are in that line.
Yes.
Omamanguni, people who are just proud on who they are, you know,
and
just
don't want to
not on what
it.
they are, you know, no property, no money can bring anything more. It's like who they are. And you know that they were trying to say my father was of a lower
class.
Lower class. You know,
okay. If this was considered for your mother, why wasn't it considered for Utatewabo?
I did say already she had already a child out of wedlock.
All right.
Those days, those things were important, you know, that That's why she ended up going to an older gentleman, because she was regarded as spoiled.
Good.
Yeah. So that one was okay. But for my mother, you know, I tell you, up to the time my father died, if I show you my grandmother's interview, she used to live here. She was seated there. And she was actually still calling my father a holy.
How did Baba take that though?
No, he understood. You know, I think if you've lived among the Nguni people, you know the pride yabo. It's always like, even my mother would like, you know, she wasn't a material person, you know, and if she was more a religious person, a family person, and she didn't want too much stuff around here, you know. She's like, what is this all about, you know? I mean, I'm proud, I'm Mutwana. So we used to say, can that really be a proud point to make ukuthi umntana umyanga?
Ndinawamandla okundiza ndiphumoya.
So, Sisi, was it not a question of humility kamama ukuthi khona nxa esithi khona me proud umuntu omyanga ukuthi no, it doesn't matter ukuthi ngile material wealth enganani, lokho ngingumuntu nje njengabanye abantu?
No, that's not what it was. It was a pride of a wayethi nxa esezondile khona athi kanilandanga lutho la uzimota zenu konke lokhu whatever ama trips, all this jewelry, ngiyachiya mina ngibuyele kofuyana ngiyethatha ikhuba lami. I have not lived among amanguni. I-pride yabo is not in things, it's not in status, it's in the purity of their bloodline. Ngabona abanye abazawami abazalwa ngumalume lo obunye ngangisebenza la eBlue Lagoon oMafuyana. Abantu bazathi nxa bangiwe ngena, you know, abakhangele so athi you know, abangathi abancincela amakhala bese kati who's that proud woman, you know, who is she? No, it's my cousin, you know. No, that one was not from humility. It was from pride. And unfortunately, that kind of thing also goes with a lot of stubbornness. Those people are hard to influence.
Or tell otherwise.
Once they've taken a step in life and they say, I'm doing this. This is usually they will stay, they will remain that way. No, it was a question of pride. So it was that was the Mafuyana when he married Ubaba. Then finally they accepted the marriage. That was like 1947, but they didn't have a child until another 7 years. You can calculate the years.
Was it planned that way, or no, because of his trips to South Africa? No,
it wasn't planned that way. I think he was always not around. And also Mama had a couple of problems in the beginning. So finally they had me later. So you asked about how it was during the childhood. Like I said, the childhood was quite miserable for no reasons. I will explain why it was that way. Firstly, Ubaba, when he actually asked for Umama's hand in marriage and she accepted, he said, okay, Mafuyana, I'm happy very much, but there's something I want you to know from the beginning. Mama, what I'm already married.
How?
Oh, Mama, what? Joshua, sure. Oh, disturb by it was amazing. I so to married. I'm married to the struggle. Because Ubaba, when he came from South Africa, he came already. You know, that's when everything started. When we used to go to school or hang out with Nelson Mandela,
Oliver
Tambo, Gama. In fact, they used to to hang out in Blue Lagoon, which is why
what inspired our
yes. So they used to sit there and just chat about this oppression in countries and so forth, and what they wished for their countries, and then they took a vow before they finished school, and it says, "You Joshua, when you go to Zimbabwe, you start. Mandela, you stay here, you start. Kama, Mandela labo Oliver Tambo. That is why even our the political parties he formed before were the ANC. They used to really work hand in hand. So he said, you start there, I start there. So when he came, even before we met my mother, he was going around with, with different people from Mashonaland, Indians, this,
Mobilizing.
Yes, not mobilizing yet. In terms of when he was just moving around, yes, mobilizing, but the actual mobilization that came, that made this whole movement very successful was when he was now working at the railways, being a graduate at a sort of a higher position. So he used to have a free railway pass. That's what lit the whole thing. With that free railway pass, he could take the railways everywhere and go there and form grassroots parties. That was why I think one thing that people don't think about, to say, how does one person light up a movement nationally at the same time?
It was that railway pass.
Yes, he could go there and there and there, and they start sales and they do this, and that's how it sort of really grew very fast. And then he was never really at home, because even at that time, the white regime was targeting him, and to wherever he went, they were watching him closely. And so he never spent time with my mother, which is a very, very sad thing for this family, and a sad thing for Mama, especially later on it became even sadder. But because she understood what he was for, because if I say they never lived together, I mean from that day. Literally, yeah. So she understood what he's doing. And obviously nobody knew that the struggle would take this long. We thought maybe it would be like other countries, where, I mean, if Smith had listened to Britain and given the people the power when it gave to Zambia and others and Malawi, would all be, it would be a different thing. But because they held on to Rhodesia to the point of declaring UDI, it's not that the British were not telling them that you need to release the country and give people their self-determination. So this is why the problem also affected the family, because in the beginning my mother was understanding, where my father was promising him that after this work we'll be together, we'll live the kind of this in independent Zimbabwe. Okay, dragged on until he was jailed for 10 years. And then he was also, after that, he had to go to war. And they fought a war. When they came back, when they didn't lose those elections, and things got a bit kind of worse for the family, really, because of all the goings on now with the Kukuraunde, the whole system that came into place that was not of his view. That's not how he viewed things. Zimbabwe. Yeah, I know there's a lot of talk now with Nkomo sold out or whatever, but the whole thing is that he always said, I set up to deliver independence. I delivered it. I never set up to fight a black man. I never set up exactly for power. Yes, we would have liked to be in power so that we can put our own objectives in place. But at the same time, at the time when the whole independence came, he also felt their colleagues with ZANU-PF had similar goals, and I thought they were of one understanding, whether he was actually quite shocked, especially after during the Kukuraunde era, that we're not thinking of the same. But again, no matter what, he would not have plunged the country back into war, because he felt that we now are independent. We have to give us a chance to he believed that it will be in the right hands, and that government will change, and people continue to improve things. But that's now history. So what happened when we grew up, we moved here and there. There was a time we stayed at my grandmother's in Bembeswana. My mother was younger and a bit not very experienced with the outer world. And then at one time, for about 3 years, we moved to England, but she was miserable there. You know, she's someone who grew up in the rural area. Yet if it had been someone who could drop in, would have embraced.
In England, was it with Ubaba or it was just you and Mama?
No, just us. It was with him and Mama and the 3 kids.
All right.
So what was his plan? His plan was that since they were always kind of also targeting the family, and it made this work difficult. So if we put us out of the picture, then they can deal with him. Because my mother also was arrested numerous times, you know, during this, because I think they were looking for my father. They wanted to search the house and things like that all the time. So 3 years there, no. Then when we came back, we went to live with the Catholics at Mbandeni. Meanwhile, there is no father in this whole picture. Then we came back to Pelandaba, where we went to school at Induba for primary school. But me and the others, we didn't finish our primary school in town. We went to boarding at a very young age. So the whole thing was that my mother, being the Christian and being also humble, she would never talk negatively about my father. We grew up with her always being positive. What a great man, he loves you, you've got a father. Even if he's not here, he is making arrangements for our lives. And she didn't say this was a career or whatever. She says he has a calling. He's been called. So we respect this because this is more than, So we said, but what about us, you know? We are also his children. We never see him, you know, he doesn't give us direction in life and so forth. Do you know that we were actually told that the struggle is more important than the family?
Taught by him or by people?
By my mother.
She had now bought into it as well.
Yes. The struggle is, you know, it was sad, but we had to accept it. That's how it is. We know we have to. And then obviously was always a mysterious figure to us.
So when he was home those few days or hours, were you not interacting with him enough to have a little bonding?
No, because wherever he went, suppose we are young, those people that grew during the time of Nkomo, there was never a Nkomo without a crowd. Even as he comes to the house, there are people singing, and he's got his lieutenants and so forth. The times I remember when we were with him is when he comes, you know, and it's like a camera thing, or, you know, and everybody's around, and he's got me on his lap, and he's talking to me and the other kids and so forth. The only time I remember when we had our father to ourselves was when he was in jail in Konakutsingo, in detention, because we were allowed to go there maybe a week or so at every school holiday. So we'll go there. That's when we used to sit with him, and he would tell us stories. You know, I was obviously, you could not say anything bad about my father. I mean, I was like, for me, he was that mystical figure. My mother was the bad one, you know, still every day building us up. My father is always telling me lofty things, you know, you're going to be like this at independence. This is how it's going to be. We want you to go and study so that you can come and make a contribution. You take over all these professions, you grow our country. And, you know, he was always flying. If you look at this Lokuzen, he was always flying somewhere. So when we were young, like 10 years, every plane that passed, We thought he's in
He's
the plane.
in the plane.
Yeah, so that's the only time I remember us in there. You know, for us girls, it was not very destructive. You know, for me, I just really gloried in that moment of, Segatandi and this and that. And I was the firstborn. So he would always say, you are the only one. I had maybe like the first 2 years when he was still at the railways, that he spent time. I was only child, to the extent that the little dress that I have at 2, my father took the whole month's salary and went and bought a dress.
Oh.
And I have a picture with that big thing like the.
Smiling.
Yes, what my father never got says, I can't believe this. How could you do this, Joshua?
Take all the money to buy a dress.
So that's how it was. And then by the time I came out of Konaudzingwa, we had all of us gone to overseas for study. And then by the time also the war was happening, it was... we're still out there. We didn't come back until after independence. So we never had that one-to-one thing. And it was very confusing because we knew that we were children of a very important, a very big man. Because, living in the townships, if we go swimming, you have people saying that. But we didn't understand our importance because, it just didn't match because my mother at this side is telling me,
Humble yourself.
Yeah.
But people are busy putting you up there.
Yeah,
Did that
somebody
affect
put it-
you though, and your image of yourself growing up?
It did because it affected us even more. It still affects us and the whole of the family now.
How now?
Because, it's not that when we were growing up there we were okay, we were surviving, but we were very poor. Then came independence, where we were told that, this is how it will be, only to enter into a more, now we are even grown up, we're understanding what's going on. So when you look at, people look at Joshua Nkomo, it's a big name international everywhere. It's made, especially the boys as well as the grandchildren, very bitter to say, how can we have, there's a dichotomy because you've got a big name and
Nothing to show for it on the
no
ground.
material.
No
It's
material,
like people are saying, surely, you inherited. How could we inherit when 1980, my father lost everything. Before they started killing people, they confiscated properties, Sapo properties, my father properties. They left him with nothing. When when he came in, he had so much, and they already invested in the country. It wasn't a type of person who would leave money outside and this, because he really didn't see it that way. He thought, now we're going home after fighting over 50 years for a place, for a thing. So it was, so this is it, it even has caused a lot of not nice relations between people, because the relatives would come and say, people know her from the Nkomo family, but we said, hey, go and ask Harare. But my father never regained anything that they took from him, despite the fact that he was made vice president.
That's what I was going to ask. But even when he became vice president, that didn't matter.
It was all a show. He's got letters where he asked for his family. The farm he had, there were 4 farms which he bought, not, grabbed from anyone. There were 2,000 cake in that farm. By the time when this man said, you can, we are returning your farm, they had taken down all the developments, all this, and the people had invaded before the invasion, because the farms were confiscated, but they didn't protect them. And they let the cake were taken by those people who were called, what you call these, the people, these accountants that have to pay themselves, they were told. Auditors. So all that's what happened to most of the properties. They were told by the government, go and audit that and pay yourself. So the farms were the only thing that they attempted to return, but he refused. He said, if Robert, you are returning my things, You have to return them in the state in which
They
you
were
took
in.
them. What do you want me to do with that now? At my age, I already established, lost houses, lost cars, lost bank accounts. He was left with nothing. We read every day when people die, mostly from this side, but we see it also from that side, that participated in the struggle and were in the government, but when they die, the latest being Uskosana. Right now, where you hear he died a pauper. Why is that always the case? My father died a pauper, for the name that he was, the little stuff that he left, the children. We have to work really for a living. We know that there are some children that have inheritance to trust fund kids to live. That Josh did not gain any financial material thing from being in this country. That's why that is the whole truth. Okay, we were grown, at least we were educated at that time. There were scholarships, and most of us my other siblings just remained overseas. They said, after Zapu lost, they figured like most of the Zipra forces, they're a lot. I met them in Canada, they're a big group who refused after the elections were announced to say Zapu has lost. They said, no, not us, we've worked. Because remember, they were in and out in partnership. There was even a Zipper. They were trying to come in as one party for a long time. So those guys says, no, we know what's going to happen. And sure, it did. It did happen. So they just stayed, outside there, and they didn't.
Why did you come back?
Me, first of all, I was not in the struggle to start with, and when I came back, it was before that before that so-called arms cash. I was actually at the time I had gone to school. And I started undergraduate in New York, Stony Brook University, and then I went to Columbia University, which is an Ivy League.
What did you study?
I studied social sciences in the first year degree, and then for masters I did international affairs, and then I also did a master's in social work. And that is because my father was a social worker. So, I thought, how it always influences you.
Yes.
But international affairs was actually I wanted to be a diplomat. Okay. Yeah. So at the time, just after independence, later VP Mzenda came, who I was very close to.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Very close to, used to even visit me at the Blue Lagoon. He came to the UN and found me there. I said, now I'm working here. He says, you know what, we need people in this field. He was a foreign minister then. Why don't you take a time and we come and induct you and we send you back right here to work in New York since you went to school here. I said, I'll do so, and after a while, and if I came back with that intention. And you won't believe it, that as soon as I came, that thing erupted.
Wow.
So there was no way now I could even go anywhere near. So I ended up going again into exile because I personally and all the family were affected. We were actually taken in and incarcerated in Morris Depot.
Really?
Yes, and the guys were tortured. My husband, my late husband, was badly tortured. If he's now in Canada, and there's nothing that can convince him
to come
back here. So we went and lived this time I was in Canada, and I worked there in social work. And then they continued here with whatever they were doing, all the sagas after independence. And the Kukurawundi period, and when my father was out, I was still out. I'd even visited him in England.
Ndiredi ukundiza ndiphumoya ndinawamandla ukundiza ndiphumoya